goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine. Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmakers, John and Lane Woolscroft.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
How's it going?
Delicious. Good. We're on episode 78, and we've got a special treat for you, kind of a post-Halloween treat.
Woohoo!
Yeah, well, guys, how does it feel? We are now 2 weeks out of, Halloween, and I'm kind of bummed.
I mean, Halloween's kind of a lifestyle. I haven't taken the decorations down yet. I kind of like the skeletons.
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
I don't think you should.
My house looks pretty dope, right?
I've already told you those decorations should stay up all year.
We got the Christmas carols and commercials are already on now, though.
Oh, man,
Give Halloween a chance, okay? Let it have its day, and then the other holidays can have their day.
I can put up some turkeys and shit around the skeletons, right?
There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah, this week we're going to be doing another entry in our ever-expanding Pantheon of Utter Shit.
I just wanted to see something modern, you know?
Well, this one's Lane's fault. Usually,
This is Elaine's fault.
Usually they're John's fault, but today I wanted to blame.
Sometimes it's Brian, sometimes it's Brian. It's mostly me.
It's true. It's true. It's true. I needed the blame eventually, I guess.
Listen, I think we're going to create a dunce hat, and it'll be the hat of shame.
Hat of shame.
And
can we make it like a cone?
Yes.
Like at the vet?
Yes.
The cone of shame.
No, just the hat
you
of
mean
shame.
like so the dog can't scratch its open wounds? No. Like the old hat
you
you
just
wore in
wear
the 1900s.
Guys, I know what a dunce cap is. I'm just saying a cone would be funnier.
But what I'm saying is when one of us makes a shitty movie, when someone makes us watch a shitty movie, that person ges to wear the cone of shame. So, John, you might wear it like 90% of the time.
Okay.
It'll fuse to your skin.
And, 5% of the time I'll wear it, and 5% of the time Lane will wear it.
Perfect.
Okay? So, there you go. But, yeah, this week we're going to be reviewing Disturbing Behavior, also known as that teen movie that you may have seen on AMC Fear Fest.
Listen.
At 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
We need to talk about this at length because there's a lot of important... Number one, watching it again as an adult, we got to talk a lot about this movie. And I will say also there is definitely a trigger warning for sexual assault. So if that's something that is, going to be upsetting to you,
well, you just made this
feel
real
free
heavy.
To skip. Hey, I'm trying to be sensitive to people's needs. I mean, it's not overt. It's not necessarily what I would, like a rape scene or anything, but it is sexual assault. So get out now if that's
there's not a rape scene.
No, it's attempted.
Attempted.
It's attempted, but I mean, I've seen worse in movies. But anyway, that's my clumsy attempt at a trigger warning. So if that's not your thing, guys, no problem.
Yeah, see, Elaine,
we'll catch you next episode.
I kind of get why you picked this. This is in that realm of I imagine our audience is roughly about the same age as us.
Sure.
You guys are in your early 30s. I'm 24 and ripped. But
IQ of 800.
Yes.
Long, luscious hair.
The hair he does have, actually. The hair is pretty great.
You've got a Kim Jong-un type of pompadour-looking thing going on.
Last time you saw me, Brian, it was really puffy.
It was really puffy.
Because I'm not going to lie, I worked from home that day and I didn't shower. Who's turned on now out there in Radio Land?
He's like the Patrick Dempsey of this crew.
But no, if you grew up, and this, because we're all the same age, this came out around that same time as Urban Legend, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, The Faculty.
Yeah.
And we all, for better or worse, saw these movies. Valentine's Day with Denise Richards.
And it was that whole thing that Valentine, I think. I don't think it's
Valentine.
Just Valentine, yeah.
Was it just Valentine?
Yeah, it was just Valentine.
Valentine's Day was that
Canadian
Robert Altman type of multiple people.
And I would not necessarily classify some of those all together because some of them, I would say the Skulls would be more in this oeuvre than
Skulls.
Dude, the Skulls is awesome and I'll fight you.
You just like James Marsden, don't you?
No, James Marsden isn't in that.
No,
He's not?
That's Ryan Philippe, isn't it?
No, the late Paul Walker and Josh Jackson. You guys do not know your 90s heartthrobs worth of shit.
They're all the same guy.
You guys are failures.
That
I'm
was
bringing
Paul
in a
Walker,
Bop magazine
wasn't it?
next time. Yeah, the late Paul Walker and then Joshua Jackson of Dawson's Creek fame.
Yeah,
Just like
Joshua Jackson was in a lot of movies like
dude,
this.
I wanted to
Urban
be that
Legends,
dude's best
he was in
friend.
that.
I want to be that dude's best friend in high school. I loved Pacey from Dawson's Creek. So like,
Wasn't he banging the teacher?
yeah, he banged the teacher.
That's why you want to be his best friend. Like,
I mean, he just seemed the most interesting out of all of them to me. Katie Holmes bored me to death in everything, including this movie.
Yeah. So, but before we get to that little bit of cinema
You
knowledge,
beat me to the transition there.
I did. This is. I mean, most people might not find this particularly interesting, but I do. So the production company Morgan Creek, which is responsible for a lot of maybe your favorite movies that you used to watch, like Ace Ventura.
They sound like a Land's End catalog. Don't
Yes.
they? Morgan Creek. Like there's a guy modeling flannel. You know,
Yes.
while he's taking a dump.
So like Morgan Creek, which has made movies along the lines of, say, Ace Ventura, Major League, Young Guns, Dead Ringers, Diabolique, Pacific Heights, and one of my favorite films, Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
You had me at Ace Ventura and Major League.
Yeah,
Ricky Vaughn.
Ricky Vaughn,
Effing
you
nerd.
hater.
Nerds.
So basically, they're in the process of rebranding their company, and I guess, and this is from Deadline. In the process of rebranding, they're exploring doing reboots to some of these classic films, like Ace Ventura and Major League. So this is from Deadline. I'm reading this directly, and Ace Ventura especially is one that I'm just like, don't fucking touch it.
Well, Brian, before you mentioned that, we talked ad nauseum about how you couldn't redo Nightmare on Elm Street because Robert Englund was too famous as that character. I get Major League. I don't want them to redo it, but I get it because it's an ensemble thing. You could maybe redo it.
They've also done like low budget sequels to Major League already.
Well, they did Ace Ventura: Kid Detective. Remember, but it's
Oh god.
but that's Jim Carrey. Ace Ventura's Jim Carrey is not going to work, guys.
No,
but
anyways,
anyways,
in regard to Ace Ventura, this is from Deadline, the actual article. I'm quoting this. It's from with the Ace Ventura franchise. This is from Morgan Creek. We wanted to do a mainstream theatrical production relaunch. Robinson, who's one of the representatives from Morgan Creek, stressing the idea that this is not to do a straight remake, but a new movie in the spirit of the original. Part of the Morgan Creek strategy to honor its library properties with the new takes without undercutting them. Because it's episodic in nature, about a pet detective, it also lends itself to a traditional single camera series franchise. So this sounds like they want to do...
they're doing a show?
Yeah, I don't know. They
I'd
gave
love-
a non-answer.
Oh, yeah. I love this bullshit of like, oh, this is a soft sequel remake soft boot. Like, what?
Oh, this one I think is my favorite. The relaunch in the spirit of the movie.
What the fuck does that mean?
Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop you right there. Like, you're both so appalled, but like, you remember that Ace Ventura isn't that good, right? Like, the
Shut your
first
mouth.
movie's like sort of cute, but it has that like 90s issue where it's like very tone deaf and like makes fun of all kinds of marginalizations, is really misogynistic. Like, you guys are
This
mad.
is probably the most transphobic movie that's ever been
You
made.
guys are mad that they're redoing this, but like, that's like being mad if a pile of shit started to smell like vomit instead. Like, it's still a pile of shit.
Well, that
it doesn't
make
matter.
sense, Lane, because
Yes, it does.
shit would never smell like vomit.
Well, that's what you guys are treating
Unless
it
you
as.
vomit on
Like,
it.
listen,
Oh.
Ace Ventura was a thing of its time. You couldn't make it now. They're still gonna try anyway, but like, it's not like there's a lot of integrity there.
To all of our friends on Does This Hold Up, this is that probably is the most transphobic movie that's
it
ever
seriously
been
is.
No,
made.
it's horrible. It's like I said, it goes after marginalizations
Einhorn.
that you could not do now. Like,
That's why Roger Predactor died. He found
guys,
Captain Winky.
I'm telling. I know you guys are like really upset. I know your member berries are like throbbing with pain right now.
They did expand
But
upon
guys,
this, okay?
it's-
So Robinson said the company would welcome Jim Carrey to reprise one of his signature roles as
Oh my
Ace Ventura.
God.
The current concept eyed for an Ace Ventura reboot is a, quote, baton handing.
So
Wall
they
Soft
said,
sequel boot.
So they didn't say passing the torch.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah.
Said a long lost... Oh, Jesus Christ. Ladies
Keep it in.
season.
Keep it in.
Keep it in. Yeah.
My head
No,
always-
not you. No, we're gonna keep that in the show.
Oh, yeah,
Or we got real
absolutely.
quiet while you were sneezing.
I had to sneeze, guys. Why are you so mean to me?
So Wall said a long-lost son or daughter of Ace possibly showing up at his doorstep and taking over.
Wait a minute, this is Indiana Jones 5 or 4 or whatever the hell it was.
Good God. The only thing
or
worse.
fucking Dumb and Dumber 2.
The only thing worse
yeah.
than this is just like some old ass Jim Carrey in that effing wig. Oh, this is getting worse all the time, guys. I don't know.
So
I'm just gonna lie down. I'll be over here if you need me.
I mean, my thing is if they want to do this shit to Nightbreed, I'm scared because they for years sat on Nightbreed and basically didn't allow us, the fans, to get any of the long-lost footage that they had to create a director's cut. They never released one until fans ultimately pushed Morgan Creek to release a director's cut. So they're assholes, and they clearly don't give a shit. And they just want to do the same Hollywood game. Like, this is it.
So Morgan Creek, you're going on the wall next to Kevin Spacey.
That's right.
And Burke Ramsey.
We need a bigger wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because that fat-head of Burke takes up so much room.
It seriously does. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by any of this.
Can you guys imagine his saggy ass old face in that ridiculous outfit and like phoning it in and having trouble breathing in between all his alrighty thens and
Well, he doesn't have the energy that he had back then. I
Oh
mean,
no,
that
no,
was-
no.
Nobody does.
No one does. He was basically a human cartoon character.
Yep.
And he can't do that again. He would have a heart attack.
He'll try.
Jerry died from
It's-
playing Ace Ventura.
He died doing what he loved.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
Well, like I said, guys, let's just not kid ourselves about the content here. It's not some sacred thing that's like really good. It's problematic.
I'm giving
and
you a stink face right
It
now.
wasn't that funny.
Well, Lane, there is a very difficult question about whether that does hold up. But speaking about does this hold up, let's cut to a commercial here for the Epicast Network. And we'll be right back after that. Here, for a message from them.
Listen to you with the transitions.
We'll talk about something very disturbing.
All right, pause. You're enjoying this Epicast Network show, but what are you going to listen to next?
Come over and listen to us, Does This Hold Up podcast.
It's a movie review show where we take films from the past, analyze them, answer the question to does this hold up?
Not really.
Not really, no. We talk about things like Karate Kid. You've all seen it. You love it. But do you remember Mr. Miyagi gets blackout drunk and talks about how many Germans he's killed in the war?
You've seen Goonies. Have you seen Mouth? He's not Mouth because he's loud. Mouth can fit a lot of things in his mouth.
He's terrific at oral.
He's known for how many round things he can juggle with his tongue.
So come over, check out Does This Hold Up whenever you're done with whatever Epicast TV show you're listening to now.
Go to epicastnetwork.com, epicast.tv.
At Does This Hold Up.
And we're back. That was a message from our friends over the Epicast Network, specifically Does This Hold Up podcast. Glad to see that those guys are back at cracking episodes again. 'Cause they're fucking hilarious. So check those guys out at epicastnetwork.com. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, this week's episode is going to be a Pantheon of Utter Shit on the movie from 1998, Disturbing Behavior.
All right, guys. So this was my idea.
Yeah, it
you're
was.
welcome, and I'm sorry in equal measure. So, some interesting background, I think, to start with the movie, just before we really get into the plot of it. So the director is David Nutter, who had done several episodes of the X-Files. He also worked on Millennium as well.
He sounds like a porn director.
So, is it because there's nut in his name?
Nutter.
Yeah, it is.
My goodness, guys. So, I think that's interesting to kind of note, just because the idea of like the paranoia and the suspense, like it's very X-Files-y in this movie, but it almost drags out too long and the payoff doesn't quite come forward. And I felt really, really smart today because I was saying, like, you know, he's an episodic director. it's almost like he was waiting for the end of the season for the big reveal. And it seems like in the movie, he almost reveals things like too late. Roger Ebert said the same thing in his review of this movie. He only gave it 2 stars.
Brian's hero, Roger Ebert.
Yeah, and I felt so smart when I said it because I was like, yes.
He's rotten in hell.
Rude.
The only guy you like more is Gene Siskel, right? He's your real hero.
Anyway.
He's rotten in hell too.
Anyway, both of you, Jesus. So, but another thing I think is really interesting is if you, so this is free on Amazon Prime if anyone wants to watch it. But it's
if you're on Amazon Prime, you should check out our guest from last
friend
week.
of the show.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, check out the show. Our guest from last week. Do not watch.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
if you're on Prime, check out Theo and the Professor.
Do not
this
check out
movie.
Disturbing Behavior.
But if you're trying to fall asleep and you want to fall asleep maybe to this movie. Anyway, what I was going to say is if you do see the movie like on Prime, it is short. It's quite short. It's like 72 minutes. That's it.
Well,
So
I was looking on Wikipedia, and apparently MGM basically took the film over from David Nutter
yeah,
after he
and
finished
to
it.
the point where David Nutter wanted to take his name off of it because it wasn't even a
Yeah.
film that he had done. So like,
Is that even feature length?
There was extra film.
Kind of.
There was extra. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if MGM is backing it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, because they were gonna expand things. I guess there was like a sex scene between 2 of the characters that got cut out.
Giggity.
There was more like background. Oh my god, coffee almost came out of Brian's nose. That was pretty
prepared
great.
for that.
I guess I'm just like immune to you because I was just like, yep, still talking. But yeah, well, that was cut out of the film, and there was more, I guess, exposition for the character that
Yeah.
Ethan Embry plays in the movie, and I'll discuss him in a minute. And then there was more information on like how the parents were feeling and all that stuff, but it just all got like hatcheted out of the film. So I think that's kind of interesting to note, like when you kind of go into this movie, because it does seem like it got cut to shit.
It does. I saw this movie years ago, and honestly, watching it again, it brought back all the reasons why I did not like this the first time around.
Well, listen, this movie is incredibly misogynistic, and I did not notice that. Like, obviously, when I was younger, there's a lot of internalized misogyny in this.
Well, Lane, I'm glad that, because I ignored talking about this with you earlier because I wanted to save it for the show.
I know.
And I'm not saying this in any way justifies it, but these movies are made for 16-year-old boys.
They truly are.
Well,
And when you're 16 years old, for better or worse, you're to some level misogynistic.
but where
and
do you
wanna look
stop
at
that
boobs.
cycle? Where is it the responsibility of the rest of society to stop creating little baby shitheads? Like how, I don't understand how marketing this, you could still market this to kids and not make it as objectifying, because there's a lot of instances in the movie where just women are completely objectified.
There is an instance in this film where the man is objectified.
But he's not naked.
No,
like,
he's
yep,
not.
Like then there's no showing of his skin. There's no showing of his ass. Like it's
That's true.
totally different. I know which one you mean, but it's totally different. So
I think they could have put more of those scenes in there.
and done more dudes. Because
It's-
let's be honest, James Marsden fills out a pair of
I
jeans.
don't look at James Marsden that way.
That's okay. I can do it for both of us.
There was one scene in Hairspray, like as a heterosexual man, like where he was like fixing his tie and like looking all smug, and I was like, "Oh, I got weird tingles. Stop it, James Marsden."
He's dreamy, okay? He is.
he's a good-looking cat.
He's effing dreamy, all right? So, okay. So the film that we have here, and there's just so many problems, I don't know where to begin. But we start in a car.
Oh, so are we going right into the?
We're going right into
We're
the
diving in.
Okay.
And so we start into a car, and there's, a couple in there getting all sexy.
Oh, sexy.
But the girl in the car has a tattoo on her ankle, and the guy's like real upset by this for some reason, and like
How dare she
am I
have
the only
a
one that has
sexy
tattoos
tattoo?
on the show? Am I the only one? I guess you guys,
Yeah.
because John, you don't have yours yet,
I have in hole written on my lower back.
and John
There.
and Brian has Born to Kill written on his back, right?
I have Murder Baby.
Murder Baby. There we
That's
go.
right. Yeah.
Perfect.
I only knew that from like that night in the bar and we shared together.
It's true. All right. So anyway, he's like, that's basically like self-mutilation. And she's just kind of like laughs it off. And she goes to like further sexify him. And she goes on, to like kiss him and stuff. And he's like, no, he's like, I can't. He's like, I have a big game on Friday and I have to conserve my fluids.
This was awesome. I cracked up because that line right there.
Who the fuck says that?
That line right there is the whole movie in a nutshell. It's shit written on paper that when human beings say it,
Oh my God, it's so
it
true.
doesn't make sense.
I think the dialogue might be the single greatest failure of this film.
Well,
it's
Is that an
unacceptable.
homage to my favorite film of all time, Doctor Strangelove, and protecting of the precious bodily fluids?
I mean, I don't know, because when movies are badly done, it's so hard to see the homage behind them. I mean, I think that the easiest one to compare this to is Stepford Wives, but it's badly done.
Well, yeah, and like we were talking about this earlier. There was so much of taking films from the 50s, 60s, and early 70s and
Badly.
remaking them for Gen X and
Yes.
and also millennials, who are a little younger. Yeah, this was the Stepford Wives. The Faculty was
Invasion of Body
Body
Snatchers.
Snatchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're just remaking these movies, but for like hip, cool
Here's the
high
thing,
school
though.
kids.
Here's the thing, though. I love The Faculty.
Really?
I really do.
God,
I
no.
love it. I do.
You
I
could,
like it.
we could have watched that one and you wouldn't have given me so
No.
much shit.
No, because I find it funny.
Oh, God damn it. I think this one's funny.
Oh, Famke. You were
Oh my
wonderful
God.
in
And
that.
Jon Stewart's in it when Jon Stewart was trying to have an acting career before he got Daily Show.
In The Faculty?
Yeah, he's one of the faculty.
Oh, yeah.
Genius in it,
Is
dude.
he like
He's one of the
is he like the
faculty.
chemistry professor?
Yeah,
or some
he's
shit
so
like
good. Like, and by good I mean horrible, but I
that? No,
love it.
I like The Faculty. That was
God
that's
damn
a
it, we
rare
could have
one
watched
I
that one
actually
and you would have
enjoyed.
left me the hell alone. Anyway.
I enjoyed this movie more than The Faculty.
Well, yeah, well, one of them.
Had the T-1000 in it.
What was
so.
it, John? You and I were going to watch one of these over the summer, and we ended up watching The Faculty because we took it down to the Rotten Tomatoes rating, I think. And
boy.
I can't remember which we did. Like, I can't remember how it goes. Like, so the lower it is, the more horrible it is, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so we weren't in the mood, and we ended up watching The Faculty, which also came out in 98 because it's 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Disturbing Behavior has like a 35.
Yes.
What does Urban Legend have? Which also
Oh,
came
that
out
one's
in
got to
98.
have a much better rating. 'Cause that was one of the first ones.
Brian, this is probably where you'll be
don't
like,
know.
ha 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 ha. Because didn't Scream start this whole thing?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Maybe.
And that will
Oh
Scream.
no, guys! It has a 20%.
Urban
Legend does.
That
yeah.
movie is horrible.
It's awful. It's unacceptable. Anyway, sorry guys, we're getting off track.
We are getting off track.
So there's like sexiness.
Sexy times go on. He
Sexiness
needs to
happening.
conserve his fluids.
Yeah, and so and then like my favorite line.
Yeah,
to
because
answer this-
here's what I don't get. Okay, losing some cum isn't gonna kill your fluid count.
Whoa, you just said that.
Drain
okay.
that swamp, son. Relax a little. you
Okay,
know?
and yeah, you know what? Maybe he would play better if he did get that.
Well, I
done.
mean, we all can make the natural inference.
you relax.
Be lighter.
Of what he
You
means.
be lighter.
But it's such an odd thing to say that you almost don't think that's what he means. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a really weird thing to say. Like, maybe he doesn't want to sweat. I don't know. Like, it's just
No,
such
he's
a,
talking about jizz.
but it's such a bizarre way to put it that like you're almost given pause where you're like, wait, what? I don't know. At least I think. But anyway, so he had like told this girl that her tattoo was like basically self-mutilation.
okay.
And so she comes back and she's like, and she's like, self-mutilate this fluid boy, which might be the worst line of the entire movie.
No, the fluids from the first one. That was the worst line.
There's
pretty
some
bad.
52-year-old, like, old white Hollywood guy writing it. Genius.
I mean,
Fluid boy.
everything about
Nailed
the
it.
dialogue is just so horrible. So anyway,
Who did write this movie? I'm going to look it up. while you're-
he wrote
Some idiot.
something else. He wrote
Scott Rosenberg,
he also wrote The Knights of something or oh shit, I like
Knights
totally
of Columbus.
totally looked it up and I totally
Oh,
didn't
he
look.
wrote
Elaine, I'm
Con
on it. You're
Air.
doing the synopsis.
All right,
he wrote-
if you look in the trivia.
Con Air, High Fidelity, and Gone
Con
in 60
Air.
Seconds.
Oh, boy.
Okay, here we go. He also wrote Beautiful Girls, the 96 movie.
Okay, so that's a good one.
Gone in 60 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys,
So yeah, please continue.
guys keep interrupting the very thrilling synopsis. So
I have to do it one more time. This is very necessary. He wrote Kangaroo Jack.
Oh, jeez.
come on.
That was worth it. Sorry.
Give me a break. All right.
Sorry.
So
All right.
anyway, so the only thing weirder than what's happening in this car is what's happening outside of it. One of the main characters in this movie is Nick Stahl, and he is
When he was an actor,
yeah.
he hasn't really been an actor in a long time.
He was in the last thing I
kinda,
remember
like,
seeing him in
disappeared.
was like Sin City.
No, but he like kind of disappeared. People during one summer, I believe, thought he like went all Kerouac.
Oh really?
Gone. Yeah.
I mean, I think when you're a child star, like I think the expectations of you just have to be like a little different because he was in a lot of stuff, even like as a kid. No, he was in Terminator 3, right?
Yeah, which the ending of this really kind of hinted at the whole Terminator shit.
It's true. But
anyway, he's creeping outside.
I think he
getting
had
his
some
jollies.
problems though, guys. Like I wouldn't swear to it, but he was in Carnival too.
Yep.
So it's not like he just dropped dead. Like I think he's doing okay.
Oh, he's
Guys,
doing fine now.
I think we're slowly approaching a 3.5 hour episode. Let's go.
You know, it's worth it. Okay.
Let's
The
get the
cinema
synopsis going.
masterpiece. Okay, so the only thing creepier than what's going on in the car is this character Gavin, played by Nick Stahl, who's out with his dog, and it's strongly intimated that the dog is able to find couples making out in cars so that like Nick can watch.
So there's
Really?
bloodhounds, and this is a poonhound.
Really? Is
That's what it
is that what it animated?
It's like a throwaway line of dialogue where he's just like, "You found a good one, girl," or something like that, where it makes it seem like the dog could like hunt it out. This also reminds me of an episode of Buffy where the werewolves like are very attracted to like Lover's Lane because the hormones like attract them. Yeah, it's a thing.
Homeward Pound, Rim Tin Tin, Air Spud.
You've
What
spent
done.
way.
Look what you've done.
No, this is the result of car trips. This is what he does on car trips, and I'm trapped with him.
Wish
in the
boner.
vehicle. I have contemplated a tuck and roll out of our vehicle more than once.
All right. So he's watching. He's
So
creeping
he's
on.
watching it, and a number of things happen like very quickly all at once. So the girl tries to give the guy a blowjob. Something gonzo happens to his eyes. They turn all red. He gets all like weird, and then he like
That face was awesome.
and like she's literally like bobbing on his knob, and he cracks her neck,
like snaps it.
snaps
like
it,
a
and
chicken.
kills her. And he's like, slut. And I'm like, she's on your dick, dude. So how about you don't shame her because she was being like affectionate with you, like she wanted to like be personal with you. Like, let's not shame that
Well,
shit.
there'll be a reason for
thinking-
that. It's coming. Yeah.
I don't think he's thinking of shaming. I think he's just crazy.
I have a problem with the S word.
Yeah, I
Shamey.
know.
It's shamey. So
It's
anyway,
shamey.
and then while this is happening, like the police chief, Chief Cox, right? Is that his name? I think it's COX.
Is that actually his name? Is Chief?
I think so. I'm pretty
it
sure.
is.
Yeah.
I think they probably Chief Pig 2 on the nose. How about Chief Cox?
Pig.
So Chief Cox comes up and he's like starting to talk to the boy. Says like, oh, why don't you get out of the car? Like, he's like, how do you like our chances against so and so on Friday and blah blah blah. And his like, I don't know if it's his deputy or just like another guy. He sees
Deputy
the dead
Dewey.
body in the car, and then the boy gets a hold of the chief's gun, shoots the deputy, and the chief is like totally fine. He's just like, get out of here. You should leave.
Yeah.
And they pull, or the boy, he pulls the body of the girl out of his car, dumps it with the deputy, and just like bounces.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's what happens in Cradle Bay.
I guess.
And you know who was really offended by all that? Bob Marley. Because he shot the deputy.
I can't stand you. I can't stand you.
Yeah, so that's what starts us off on this journey
and
of
it's
film.
just so creepy because like I get like a really strong sense of like even the good characters are very predatory and objectifying of like both women and sexual like relations.
Except for
Because
our
he's
main
there like
character.
watching like
Well, when you're marketing a movie to this, that age group, like they're very one-dimensional. We're all one-dimensional when we're 16, and so they're writing one-dimensional characters so they can be.
But like I said, I don't think marketing something to a certain age demographic gives you a license to create shit, and it doesn't give you a license to incorrectly reinforce tropes that have existed that are wrong. Like I don't think that you need to like perpetuate these stereotypes and this ill behavior. I know that we came from the Puritans, but we don't need to be shaming like sex and the way that women are objectified in this, as I will detail in a few minutes. I just don't think that that's an excuse. I'm over it. So, I mean, I'm glad we're like in the year 2017.
Yeah.
Far removed from this movie. Oh God, this movie's so old. Oh my God.
20-year anniversary next year.
That's
Yeah.
so messed up. I feel so old. So anyway, so then we meet our main character, Steve.
Cyclops.
Is it
Cyclops.
Steve? Is it Parker? Steve Parker. He has a very like
Steve
boring
Clark.
I knew it was like a boring last name. So he's moving there with his family. His little sister's really excited.
Who his little sister was in Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, she's like a scream queen.
Yep.
I thought for sure she was related to Susan Sarandon somehow. Don't you think she looked like Susan Sarandon?
A little
and she
bit.
looks like Ava Murray, who is Susan Sarandon's daughter. And I thought she was about the right age, and I thought for sure it was her.
Yeah.
That's totally wrong. But his little sister's real excited. His little sister's like real excited to move there, and he's like real moody, and he has good reasons to be moody that we find out later. But
He's 16. That's why he's moody.
And he's like 25, the actor. Like James
Yeah, he
Marsden's
was-
25 when he
we
was
looked
in
it up.
this. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well,
He looks like he's 30.
Here's the thing. It's okay because, he's only going to 25-year-old high school anyway because everyone in the high school is also 25.
That's true. Well, I don't think Katie Holmes looks that old.
They all look that.
I think she looks about 19.
There were no 16-year-olds that I knew that
No.
looked like that.
No, me neither. But anyway, he has his first day of school. When we see like these little like flashes, and I think this is the only thing about the movie that even worked a little bit. I'll just spoil it now. So we find out that Steve's brother Alan killed himself.
Yes.
And we find out that he's dead first, and we find out that he killed himself later. And I think those little like
The little videotape thing.
yeah, like
those
of
things
the
are
memories.
nice. I like those.
I thought that was like the only
I will say that.
element of storytelling that was like present in the movie.
It was
Oh, and
very
also,
MTV.
There's a supercut of the movie on YouTube also that has like all the deleted scenes in it, so it's about as close to a director's cut as we can get. MGM didn't let David Nutter do a
Who
director's
liked
cut
this
of this
movie enough to do that?
Fuck you, I'm just gonna watch it to spite you. So anyway, I just want to be clear, I didn't like this movie, and I was actually horrified at how misogynistic it was upon revisiting. So the first day of school, he has this like real I don't know, really
Nerdy
pretentious teacher. The
Yes.
main-
Yeah.
the main-
Who's like, oh, did they not have what was it, Shakespeare or
Dickens. Do they
Oh,
not
do they-
teach Charles Dickens in
I
Chicago?
thought that was such a dick
well, we're
thing
supposed
to
to
say.
hate the guy. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Charles Dickens is not exactly the premier of
Right.
writing either.
Agreed.
I mean, he's fine, but
Right. So then,
Okay, writing snob.
so then he's introduced to like a big altercation between this guy Richard, who's what they call a motorhead. He's like real into cars, and he goes after one of the guys like in the
Blue ribbon.
they're called the Blue Ribbons. They're in the Letterman's jackets.
and
They're
who
really
are the
good.
Blue Ribbons? Elaine?
Well, they're like this community group at the school, but like they get really good grades and they're in all the sports and like they help in the community and they do like blood drives and
So they're
car
Mormons.
washes and
They are kind of like that, yeah.
well, it's just taking this whole ideal and I can see how it's directed towards like younger people because they're trying to stamp out all the rebellion in the younger people and anything like tattoos or rock music or masturbation, like it's all like condemned.
So
and,
the normal things that teenagers do.
right, the normal things that they
Masturbate,
like.
listen to rock music. I mean, that's
Maybe get something pierced if they're feeling wild.
maybe yeah.
Screw you, Dad.
Right,
Jerk
so-
off and listen to music.
So yeah,
Surge.
so but he witnesses a fist fight between these two guys in his English class, and then he goes to lunch, and it's kind of
Yeah.
it's funny because like this came first, but it reminded me of Mean Girls when
Yeah.
Gavin walks him through like all the cliques.
First of all, I gotta say, this movie is so 90s, it's not even funny.
Well, it's just like, and it's oversimplifying everything. Like people aren't necessarily one thing. I mean, I
Well,
don't know.
in
This
high
wasn't,
school, yeah, it is. Like,
but that wasn't my experience.
I didn't
like,
experience that
I did.
necessarily either.
was it very distinguished
it
cliques
was-
where people
it-
were one
yes.
thing?
You
Yes.
know what was the great denominator in my school was pot.
well,
Yeah,
it's
you
where
had
the
a lot of pot in
football
your
player
school.
and like the rock, guy
Yeah.
could come together. 'cause
I mean,
they both like smoking.
For me, I was part of what would be Gavin's clique of the weird outcast people. Okay, that was me. But we also had, the serious art people.
Yeah.
Like I kind of went both those ways.
For them,
But you had the
okay.
serious art people, you had your nerdy people, and you had your jock assholes. Okay.
Interesting. See,
Granted, in my high school, it
It was
wasn't
like
so
Christian
much.
Slater and Heathers. I
And
think.
you also have your
Too cool.
Here's the thing, because I went to high school up north. You had your country hillbilly hicks who wore their giant belt buckles the size of your hand, like that was a
Yeah.
thing. So those were kind of the cliques that we had. But with them, I mean, really, it wasn't so much pot; it was heroin. That was what people did in
Jesus
my high school.
Christ, Brian.
Yeah,
that's
Seneca
awful.
Valley was known as heroin high when I was there.
Especially now with like the opioid crisis in
Yeah.
the state. That's awful. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm very like, I went to a really small school, so I graduated
Yeah.
with like 70 other people. And like, I don't mean to be too rosy about it, but I mean, graduated with some really talented people. I mean, everybody in my class was either really into art or music. Yeah. I mean, we had like the skater kids and like the kids that were good at sports, but I don't know. I think when you're that small of a class, like you're pretty close.
Well, you had the principal's dopey ass son who was supposed to be that.
Oh,
wrestler.
he wasn't in my grade.
And then what? He's selling waterbeds now.
No,
or
he was the
some
grade
shit?
ahead of me.
Yeah,
it's okay. We don't have to.
waterbeds.
We can leave him out of this. He wasn't in my class because like my class was pretty awesome. I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day, and like one of my classmates, he wrote that song HOLY. Holy. I'm not super familiar with like the group or anything.
Hold on,
but,
Brian, let me write
but
that
it was
out
like,
and check you on that.
But it's
Yep,
a
I got it
legit
too.
song, and he also wrote it was Florida Georgia Line. But like I went to high school with the guy who wrote that. Like I mean that's pretty cool. And like
All right,
he
well, enough blogs about Clarion. We should really get back to the synopsis here.
right. Oh, sorry, but I'm just saying this wasn't my experience. I found this to be like very trite. That they kind of broke down the
It
cast
felt
in that way.
very
But I mean,
familiar to me.
If it's what you guys experience, then maybe there's.
I mean, I
something
don't
to
know
it,
about you, John, but I felt that felt very familiar.
Well, this is marketing. Like, this whole movie is marketing, and that's
to make you feel othered, so you consume.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean to be like, a little too. I went to community college for one semester. Now my eyes are open, but that's it's
right.
There's a lot of truth in that.
It's funny though because the one thing I will say that I thought was pretty cool is there's a character called UV. He's really pale, so it's like a joke. But when every time Gavin explains one of the clicks, he had like UV says like a catchphrase. And he says, like, freak so chic. But he says freak.
No, but you're saying it wrong. You'll be like, freak so chic.
And then
dude.
freaks so weak. Like, I mean,
so weak.
he said, but he calls every clique freaks. And I thought that was interesting. Like, yeah, we all are, everybody's a freak in their own way. I thought that was interesting.
I think you're reading way too much into this movie.
I think that was the only good line. So don't take it from me, God damn it. So then, so this guy Richard, who gets in trouble at in the fight and everything, he gets into the principal's office later that night. He's trying to buy car parts. He's like down by the docks, and it's like dark and creepy. And he's like, I'm here for the car parts, and then he's like accosted by these
blue ribbon
preppy kids are called. Yeah, they're called blue ribbons. Like that's what the group is called.
Yep.
And he's accosted to them.
They
then
beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, and the next time we see him, his name is suddenly Dickie, and he has like a part in his hair, and he's like donated his like prized
Dickie.
car to the demolition derby fundraiser
Yeah, he's
at the
beating
school.
the shit out of it, and it's
And it's
crazy.
his prized car. Like, so we see like a huge personality change in this dude like right away.
Yeah.
So then,
Have you given any thought to the Book of Mormon?
so then Gavin is like always telling Steve like something evil's going on with that clique.
Yeah.
Because there's something like weird going on with this program that the school psychologist is leading, and Dr. Caldecott. And Steve's like kind of like skeptical, and it's funny because like I don't know, I would be a little more polite if I just made a friend, I guess, and be like, but he's like not having it. So then, so the big thing around here is like when Steve gets out of a meeting with Caldecott, he comes out and is immediately greeted by Katie Holmes's ass. And this is the problem that I have with this movie. Like, she's just like dancing for no reason.
It makes no sense that she's dancing on a truck.
And she's just writhing.
It's there to give 16-year-olds boners.
That doesn't make it right, John.
But that's why it's in there.
But that doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it's okay.
You can give 16-year-olds a boner many, many other ways. Just ask Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
mic drop.
That's a mic drop right there.
JK, I am not making light of what a horrible human
You
being Kevin
just
Spacey is.
did.
Not making light of it. I had to go for the joke. I punched down. I'm not proud of myself.
No, the joke was at Kevin Spacey's expense. You punched out.
Okay. All right. Good. Because he sucks and we need to make fun of him all the time.
2-time Academy Award winner and child rapist, Kevin Spacey.
Giant human piece of trash, Kevin Spacey. Okay. So anyway, I don't care if that's how you're supposed to get them off. Like, you can still make something sexual without making it objectified, and that's what this is the whole time. It's like,
How would you do that?
The character.
I mean, I hear that all the time. I don't deny that you can do that, but how would you do that? If you were directing that scene, what would you do?
I would make there be some shred of consent. I mean, I wouldn't have her introduced that way where it's ass first, where he is just...
Maybe eyes first?
No, her ass is first.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you were going to reshoot that, how would you reshoot that to make it kind of do the same sort of thing?
Yeah,
but...
I would probably focus on her hair and her eyes, You know, I wouldn't
Okay.
go for the body so much, and I would probably make some other wardrobe choices. You know, I
thought that stupid croc top was dumb.
Well, crop tops are back now, so it didn't offend my eyes as much as it might have 5 years ago. So, but I mean, I liked the ripped jeans, but I thought she could have just been wearing a different shirt. I was not okay with the amount of hard nipple that she was. I mean, because clearly she was cold the whole shoot, and they didn't let her wear a bra, which is fucked up. That's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
So that for a start is something I would do. I mean, you can show that Steve is and it is so hard not to call him Scott, by the way, you guys, because of him being an X-Men.
Cyclops.
But
Cyclops.
But you can show that he's attracted to her, without it being overly objectifying. Because I mean, she's writhing in the back of this truck.
I think it
And
would
we
have been
see her
more,
ass before we see any other part of her body.
I think it would have been fine if, and it's cliche, you do the slow-mo walk shit.
I mean, I think
the
that
dancing in the truck was just dumb.
and I think
Is
the
there a
camera
chance-
focus could be on her face.
Is there a chance that her ass is a better actor than her face?
Oh, that's so mean. I'm the first to say I do not think Katie Holmes is a good actress. I think she was perfect for this movie because she's terrible.
Yeah,
and all she has to do, and it's just funny because she plays this really clean cut character on Dawson's Creek, and this probably was her ability to go edgy, but she just seems tired. That's her style of acting.
Let me tell you something. I knew plenty of people who were the quote unquote goth chick and goth guy in high school, and she does not hold a candle to them.
And they didn't even
At
convincingly
all.
make her goth
No,
so
they
much.
didn't.
It's just the outcast.
Yeah, but the outcast is the goth person. Okay, that's how it works.
Right.
You go goth or punk or whatever, but
Well,
either
was
way,
she just the poor kid?
she was just the
Yeah,
poor kid.
Gavin a couple of times calls her trash, which I think is gross.
Means poor, you know.
Yeah, that's just such a shitty thing to do anyway.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be the guy we're on his side. It's really hard to be on your side when you do shit like that, bro.
But that happens. We kind of figure out what side we're going to be on later in the movie when he gets converted.
Well, that's
Right.
what bad movies do. They tell instead of show. So we're
Exactly.
going to tell you she's trash instead of giving her any kind of character dynamic where she is.
And all the characters are very flat. So they decide to go cruising and try to score a 6-pack. And through some events of the night, they run into this blue ribbon named Chug.
Chug.
And he kind of alludes to
Chug's
wanting
got
to
a
see...
chub for Rachel.
And he wants to see her. He invites her out to the yogurt shop. It's shoppy with 2 P's and an
It's
E.
shoppy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the spelling's important. I mean, we're a podcast. I have to help you guys understand.
Did you also notice that the supermarket was a shop for food?
Yeah, dude.
They
Is this
literally
really
said
being
shop
ironic?
for food.
Are they trying to with yogurt shop and Chug? Are they trying to give it kind of an old 50s feel in the 90s? But an ironically,
Well,
My
trying to
wife
make
thought
these
it
kids-
felt like it was the 1960s. But
Yeah, they're
then
trying to make these
at
kids
times it was
super
weird,
wholesome. Yeah, because they're trying to harken it back to the good old days, which we all have decided haven't existed, and they were horrible.
They
and
didn't exist.
There's no such thing as good
there's
old
no
days.
such thing. So I mean, I think with the wholesomeness of the yogurt shop, I thought that was an interesting juxtaposition
That's just gross.
because there was a lot of milkshakes and stuff, a milkshake shop. Kind of like what they're
Just
doing
call
on
it a
Riverdale.
malt shop. Why don't you just call it? Why do you call it
Right.
a fucking yogurt shop? That's just
And
dumb.
it's kind of what they're doing now more successfully on Riverdale with Pops is chocolate shop. But I thought it was interesting in the 90s, yogurt was a thing, frozen yogurt was really popular and it was the cool new thing. And I
Why-
thought it was funny that they made it a yogurt shop
Why
instead.
couldn't they just say, "Let's go to the Froyo shop"?
Right. Well, I don't think they called it Froyo back
Yeah,
then. It
they
was
did.
98, bro.
They called
Really?
it Froyo. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for saying milkshake, because now all I can think is, I drink from your milkshake.
Really, I'm thinking about how my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
I thought about that too.
Anyway, so Chug is real into Rachel. He asks her to join them at the yogurt shop, and Gavin about shits his pants because it's just so wholesome it makes him want to barf. And then so Chug goes into the grocery store and he's looking at Rachel, and it's her boobs and her exposed stomach and her ass. And so we finally figure out what's going on. So something's wrong with these kids, but it's going extra wrong when they're horny. It's making them
Basically,
violent.
horny causes his cerebral implant to go haywire.
It's the excess dopamine they explain later.
Yeah,
Wait, you
science
guys,
talk.
when you get sexually turned on, your eyes don't blink red?
No, that's just you, honey.
No.
Oh, God. I feel like I have rabies.
Thank goodness you just have your special monkey pillow.
My monkey sheets.
Your monkey sheets. So yeah, so then Chug kicks these guys' asses, in the supermarket, and it's really, really bizarre. And it's weird because like Steve is still not a believer that like something is horribly wrong in this like little like weird Washington town where the sun never shines.
Steve's a special guy.
Well, Rachel says to him, "Oh, steroids."
Yeah, they say
What
like
the
it's a steroid thing, but
type
like,
of steroids
but
do
like
that?
is like, I mean, she saw this guy that chugged through like sail over a display end cap of cereal. Like he was almost to the ceiling. That's not steroids. That's messed up. So,
I gotta make one note before we move forward. One, there is some slang that Mr. Rosenberg created for this movie,
or tried to create
that
like,
honestly falls so fucking flat that
He
it's stuck in my head the whole movie.
he basically tried to make fetch happen, right?
Yes, he did.
He didn't. Say it, Brian.
Razor.
Sounds
What?
razor.
Sounds razor. What the fuck does that mean?
Razor. Let's go.
What does that mean? Hey, that's cool? Or
He was-
is
Yeah, I mean,
that
it's
bad?
cool.
He's sitting there at his typewriter because he's an old soul with his mint julep, and he writes O-R period razor. You nailed it again, Rosenberg. Oh, the kids are gonna be saying that.
Yeah, but I have to bring that up because the minute I heard Katie Holmes say that, I'm just thinking to myself, what the fuck?
Well, that was the first thing you gave me shit for when we were talking about
What
recording
the
tonight.
fuck?
You were like, sounds razor.
Yeah, I had to say that because it was a
A-hole.
dumbass thing to say.
It is a dumbass thing to say because I mean, anytime
Even Razor Ramon in the WWF didn't say that. So Razor.
anytime like you try to make something really trendy, you're going to fail. You know, you can't go into something like this thinking you're going to be an influencer because then you just look like a jackass. You
That's
know,
right. Except for
So-
the person who created YOLO. That person's an asshole.
but that actually caught on.
Yeah, but that person's an asshole.
I mean, I don't
disagree.
disagree, but that actually caught on.
That
But
phrase
anyway.
is so Slider. What do you guys think?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Hashtag Slider.
That phrase was so pillow.
I don't hate it.
Hashtag pillow.
Okay.
That's so
So-
monkey sheets.
Monkey sheets. So yeah. So anyway, so after the ass kicking at the supermarket, then that's kind of like Steve and Gavin kind of getting a little tiff about stuff because like Gavin's being really intense about the whole group thing, and Steve just doesn't buy it. So to like prove it to him, Gavin takes him to the high school where they eavesdrop on like a parents meeting. Because,
Cult meeting.
because one
Ew,
of the
parents.
because one of the things is like Steve somehow gets roped into sitting with like the blue ribbons at the yogurt shop one day.
Yeah, creepers.
And Gavin is, extracts him from the situation. And he's like, look, dude, like some of those people used to be my friends and they used to party harder than anybody. Like something is wrong.
Yeah.
So he takes him to this. It's like the greatest trope situation of all time where they're like hiding in the air ducts and like behind this like beautiful old timey vent.
Those air ducts aren't big enough for the two of them.
No, they're not big enough for even.
I blame Die Hard for this. There's no air vent that holds a human body.
No, they aren't big enough for even just like James Marsden. I mean, like look at the way he fills out those jeans. He's like large and tall and supple and like muscular
Hey,
and
who's
like
objectifying who
ass
now?
for days.
Yeah, who's objectifying you now? You hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go watch Katie Holmes' butt shake and be like, "Wow, what a performance!" And then he'll
She
turn around and go,
literally
"Wow,
doesn't-
fuck."
She literally does nothing for you. I know this for a
that's
fact.
true. Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
you're-
I'm sure James Marsden has a great personality. I'm just kidding, you guys. So anyway, they and this is like a very bizarre scene. So they eavesdrop on the meeting because Gavin wants to prove all this to Steve, but then as a part of the meeting, they end up nominating a new student, I guess, which they do from time to time.
It's like a cult.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. My sinuses are a bitch.
Keep it in.
No, I'm cutting that out.
Keep it
So
in.
sorry to make you edit.
It's all right. It's all right.
So when they go to nominate, they go through this process of saying, how the kid like has been doing in school and all this stuff, and I mean, you can see it.
This is where they bring up all he does is listen to rock music and jack off.
Yeah, they say all he does is listen to music and masturbate. I was like, that's
At the same
very
time?
personal.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I've never listened to Poison while cranking it. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe you're missing out.
Well, one, I mean, if you've got the porn,
I'm more of a Starship man.
If you've got the porn on and you're jacking it and you've got the music, that's too much. It's too much for
true.
you. You know?
It's true. So anyway, I mean, you can see it coming a mile away, but the nominated student is, of course, Gavin.
Of course.
So then,
Because this movie's predictable.
so then they go home like they go home, and like Steve's like kind of starting to come around. And he says, like, well, why don't you stay at my house tonight? You know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. Gavin's like, I'm going to be ready for them. And he pulls out a fucking handgun.
He's got a hand cannon.
He's got a gun, like a real gun. And then for some reason, and we don't know yet that his brother had shot himself, but Steve loses it. And he takes the gun from him and is like, nope, fuck you. And he just like bounces.
And Steve has basically doomed his friend, his only friend,
I know,
to being turned into a zombie.
But
and this is what, 1 year from before Columbine,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
it was. I
Yeah.
mean, I was thinking about that a lot too, where, you know, just like, you know, the way that these kids like dressed and stuff, and like some of the, you know, the behaviors and everything, where you would have like headphones on and everything, and in class, and I was like, this was a pre-Columbine world. You know, a lot of the stuff struck me as being really naive, you know what I mean, like just where school was taken for granted as this safe place, you know, in a pre-Columbine and Christ, a pre-Sandy Hook world. So so that the gun like totally flips Steve out, and he decides to go home. But I mean, I guess he saved his friend from being a murderer, though, because
No, his friend might not be a zombie,
but his friend would have killed people if he hadn't.
but they
been.
were trying to turn him into a zombie.
I know, but he'd be alive and he'd be a killer. I don't know. I feel like that would be upsetting.
I think I would have taken the gun and defended myself if they were going to be turning me into a mindless zombie.
Maybe. But as predicted, the next day in school in the cafeteria, it's like a suspenseful shot where we finally end up seeing Gavin as a blue ribbon.
Zombie.
When Steve tries to confront him, he gets the shit beat out of him, like seriously beat really hard.
And apparently no one in the school, like I've never seen a cafeteria where just literally everyone is gone. There's no one watching the cafeteria. It's just...
Think about that poor lady that was like the cafeteria monitor in your school.
Yeah, that's what I'm
you
saying.
really think she's going to get in the middle of that fight? She's like, screw it.
Well, she could have called like the security or the police.
We had
or
like
somebody.
the dean of students who would always hang out in the cafeteria.
Oh, us too.
It was usually like stay-at-home moms who were just like, we're
well,
bored
that
of
was
shit.
elementary school.
Yeah.
My mom was
In
in
high
elementary
school?
school one.
You had stay-at-home moms in high
maybe
school?
It was just
No.
middle school. Maybe it's just middle school.
Elementary school. My mom did that for a while. I loved it. I liked seeing her in the middle of the day, and she was like cool with all my friends. Classic only child right here.
Yeah.
I liked seeing my mom. But in high school, yeah, our dean of students was about as useful as a third tit.
I mean,
But he was a big dude, so if there'd been a
every-
fight, like he could have handled it.
And that's what same thing we had.
That's useful as tits
Our
on a
dean
board.
of students was an asshole. Yeah.
I think it's a prereq.
It's a prereq. You go in there.
If you want to be the
asshole.
dean, you're kind of,
Yeah. So,
kind of an a-hole.
okay, so he gets the shit kicked out of him.
Right, and he's, you know, so he goes to like try to go home, and that's when Lauren is at his house, right?
Yes. And she starts to objectify him.
No, she doesn't, and here's why.
Okay.
So
you didn't even give Brian a chance.
Wow.
not an inch, bitches.
Wow.
I'm
Because her titties hanging out?
give me a minute.
Okay.
So when
Crap.
Steve comes home, you know, Lorna's like, you know, I was teaching your sister algebra, and like she went on to bed. I'm then like, okay, but why are you in my house alone? You're weird. And and so she's
You're
like,
weird and strangely attractive.
and she's like, and he's like, you have to go. And she's like, well, can I go to the bathroom first? And then you see her getting all horny. She sees fully clothed Steve. If we were really going to make this even, dude should have like had something on his shirt and had to take it off just to make it even. I'm not saying I would have enjoyed this at all, but I mean, in the interest of fair art.
For science.
And then,
Oh no, I dropped the lotion all over myself.
right?
I
And
went
then,
and drank this Coke and it spilled all over my shirt.
right? Gotta take it off, man. That shit's gonna stain.
Oh man, now my pants are chafing me too.
That would have been okay. No,
Simpsons
just kidding.
reference for all of you.
Good job with the Simpsons reference. You always come correct with those. So yeah, so then this is not objectifying because you just see that she's getting horny, and then she takes her own sweater and blouse and unbuttons them, and you actually see boob. Like
see a titty.
there's a titty in this movie, y'all.
Made for 16-year-old boys.
That doesn't make objectification okay. I don't know how many times I have to say it, because if it really was objectifying him, like she would have had her sweater on still, and he would have been naked or something to make it even. And it's
I
just she
think
gets
you
naked.
just really wanted to see James Marsden naked.
I mean, that's aside from my point, which is a very feminist point.
You want to see his Cyclops.
I mean,
It's not lasers that come out of that thing.
His
that's why
one-eyed monster.
he needs to preserve his lasers, John. So she comes out, and like a weird like mix of her sexually attacking him, attacking herself, and then attacking him
Well, she-
with a
This is
shard
the
of
big
glass.
trailer.
Well, you're
shot.
missing. She bashes her head against
it's
the
really
mirror.
upsetting. It's really
and
upsetting.
it's just like, I need to masturbate, and just bashes her head, and takes a shard of the mirror
And goes to go-
tries to stab him.
Yeah, after like trying to like make out with his face. It's weird. It's
Crazy.
upsetting. And so he tries to like push her away from him, and she hits like a bookshelf or something.
The reset button on the back of her
basically it like knocks her back into like sanity, wherever that may be for her. And she's like, I have to go. I have a big physics test tomorrow. And then the next
head.
thing
And
you
she's
see,
got like blood all over her face.
it's,
so
it's really
weird.
gross.
See,
and
'cause
she's still
it's important-
shirtless.
It's important to masturbate. You got to get
clear
that
it out. Just-
Whatever you're into. For me, it's a Land's End catalog. You know,
Clear your
whatever.
mind. Just take. It's just me time. Just take a little me time, okay?
Even
It's-
if it's in someone else's house,
Don't
and they
get
don't even
pent
know
up.
you're there.
Don't get pent up. It's okay. Even in a graveyard, it's fine. So the next thing we see is, I like that was like the thing. John's in an abandoned house and like, no problem, Brian.
Not
but you're like,
abandoned. They just don't know I'm there, and with spank it to my Land's End.
all right, fine. I just want to punch you in the head.
Hey, everybody's
sometimes.
dying to masturbate in the graveyard.
I'm explaining the movie. Damn it. So then the next thing we see is her being tweaked by Dr. Caldecott, who, if we didn't know before, was like pure fucking evil.
Well,
There's
now,
no
when you say
question
tweak,
now.
her brain's getting readjusted. You don't
Yeah.
mean like tweak like he's grabbing some.
Oh no,
butt,
I didn't mean
you know.
like that.
No.
Just to be clear to the audience who
She-
maybe haven't
he-
seen.
he's-
Most people don't think
Him
about
and his
that.
mustache are basically operating on her brain.
He's a goddamn mustache twirler, isn't it?
He definitely is. And he, like Bruce Greenwood, who plays Dr. Caldecott, he either gets cast as like the president, or he ends up getting cast as a villain. Like that seems to be his only two roles, are president or villain. And in this one,
What does that say?
I don't know. I think it's his face and his voice.
No, that president and villain, and like that's the same face.
Well, that's what we're currently dealing with. But it's just interesting because he comes across as this like new age, like, hey, I just want to be cool. We're cool, right? You should really get involved with the blue ribbons. But in the same minute, he seriously goes towards the Snidely Whiplash, twirling my mustache.
Yeah, he's
Science is
seriously
God,
evil.
Shit.
Right,
So
he's
it's
evil.
really weird. But he's basically, at this point, figures out that, hey, horny teenagers cause his little cerebral things to malfunction. Apparently, it's an issue with that particular vintage of his technology of brainwashing that causes that thing.
Right. So I guess we haven't mentioned Dorian, the janitor, yet.
Oh,
And he's like the rat guy.
William Sadler.
Who will forever
All I can
be...
think is Charlie Day from Always Sunny because he has to kill all the rats.
Well, in this movie... In this movie,
King of the Rats.
Dorian is played by William Sadler, like Brian said, who will forever and always be Sheriff Valenti from Roswell for me. I can't see him as anything else. He's been in other stuff. He's a great actor.
He's an awesome character actor.
He is.
He was in the first episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh my God, no way.
Yes, way. He
Dude,
played a prison executioner.
If he ever came to Steel City Con, I think I would
Oh
shit.
my God, he's awesome.
He's so great. But yeah, so he plays the school janitor, and this is another problem that like you couldn't make this movie now because he seems to be mentally handicapped, and a couple of the students call him the R word.
Yes, they do.
But we find out like R word like a fox, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. But like he's just pretending
Yes.
to be, because one day Steve sees a Vonnegut book in his back pocket of his coveralls, and he's like, "You're just pretending all this, aren't you?" And he says, "People get really interesting when they think you're really stupid." And so he's like faking a disability,
He's
which is not
voyeuring.
and me.
He's voyeuring.
Yeah.
And Vonnegut is for smart people. This is true.
It's just smart.
But there also is a reason for Vonnegut. He wrote a story. God, I'm drawing a blank now. Where you wear a certain, I think it's a headband, and it conforms you to be exactly the way that they want you to be. The people in the story. I know pronouns there.
Oh, do you mean Harrison Bergeron? That's that short story he wrote?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's headbands.
So
yeah.
it's
The
kind
mind
of
control.
ties
So
in
it's
with
this story,
stuff.
yeah. So it's a little wink, wink, because Kurt Vonnegut wrote something very similar to this. But sorry.
Right. So like that's sort of the end, but that's how Steve figures it out, that he's like
Yeah.
more than what he seems. And this guy's been working on the Eradicator, and it like emits this weird this like frequency that doesn't seem to bother anybody human.
Except Katie Holmes.
But what
Except
we
Katie Holmes.
but what we find out is that it's affecting these people. And so this is where I would say, you know, if talking about the assault would bother anybody, I would say you may want to stop and check back in with us at the end of the episode. But there's a scene where Rachel goes down to the boiler room, I guess. It's just like a utility room.
Creepy boiler
but it's where
room.
they keep their smokes, and it's somehow someone leaves her a disc in there
It was
too.
it was Gavin. Gavin made that disc
and took it
in
to
case he ever turned into one of the zombie blue ribbons.
Interesting.
And so
I just didn't understand how he got it there.
That was probably a deleted scene. That's my guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a section that they
That's
cut
a good
out.
point.
Yeah,
'Cause
when
it
the
doesn't
movie's
make
like
any
14
sense.
minutes long, you know, it's like something was
true.
left on the cutting room floor.
It's true. So anyway, when Rachel goes down there, I mean, this is a very upsetting scene because Chug follows her down there. You know, he asks her out and she laughs in his face and, you know, says that she does not want to go out with him. And he screams, "Why not?" And I feel like that's the only real acting we got from Katie Holmes in the whole movie. Like, she actually jumps, and I wonder if it's just because it was so loud.
Probably.
Yeah, well, they probably were clever about it, and you know, and they did a rehearsal of it, and he didn't yell, you know, so that when he actually did, she was like, "Holy shit!"
Maybe,
you know?
maybe
Yeah.
that would be a good choice, you know, for directors to do. So he comes after her, and I mean, like, it's upsetting. Like, he grabs her chest, he tries to unbuckle her pants. Like, it's a upsetting.
That part was disturbing. I didn't like watching.
Yeah, I didn't either. And so at one point, one of the rats gets too close to the eradicator, and it sets off this like high pitched shriek.
Yep.
And it like fries Chug's brain. Like it clearly is putting him in a ton of pain. And so Rachel's able to escape with her bag and like the disc that Gavin had left for her, and she gets the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And everything. So they kind of start investigating what's going on because of a couple leads that Gavin leaves for them. And Rachel and Steve end up in this facility called Bishop Flats.
Yeah.
It's like right across, like a ferry ride right across. And they find out that it's a, I guess like a facility for depressed teens.
Well, what's interesting is that this facility is the former job of Dr. Caldecott.
Right.
So they wanted to see what was going on there, and they find out that Caldecott was doing the same sort of experiments on those inmates, especially his own daughter.
Yeah, and it didn't turn out right because all she can say is meet the musical little creatures that hide among the flowers. Like she says it over and over again. And so we know something with the programming must have gone wrong. I thought this was also really a damaging aspect of the film, like just othering people with any kind of mental illness or any kind of problem is just like scary and crazy. It just was a very creepy scene.
Yeah.
Where there was just
I thought
like
the way that they showed those people was kind of weird. Like they threw prosthetics on a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't
just didn't think
all mental illness people look like
yeah,
that.
and I didn't
This
think
movie was written for 16-year-olds.
fuck you. That doesn't mean you have to do things badly. So yeah, I thought they did a bad job of like explaining that like Dr. Caldecott like ruined these kids.
Yes.
And I mean, not to say that they're ruined. I mean, they're still kids.
They're
still
ruined
people,
by the
like,
end of the movie.
But they're still people. Like I don't mean to other them in that sense, but I mean they didn't make it clear enough that this was the result of Caldecott's work.
Yeah.
They just sort of made it seem like anybody who might be in that kind of a facility was like that, and I didn't think that was fair.
So after this point, they escape and they run back to they run back to Steve's house, and they find out that Steve's parents have signed him up for the program.
And that's the whole reason they moved there, right?
Yes.
That's such bullshit.
They sign up for the program. Caldecott shows up. Steve clocks Caldecott in the face.
Because the whole thing was Steve wanted to save his sister before
Yes.
they bounced.
Yes.
I like that, like, before he knew his parents were traitors, he had no interest in saving them.
No.
So much. He was just
He's
like,
just
I need to save my
fuck you,
sister.
Mom and Dad. So yeah,
Parents of
Caldecott then gets his blue ribbon goons to basically abduct Steve and Rachel and bring him to a secret laboratory. Mom and Dad seem to not care.
Yeah, I mean,
At
they
all.
just didn't seem to care about the means.
Like, wouldn't you think, hey, I know I signed him up for this, but he doesn't seem to want to do it, so maybe we just don't do this? Like,
I mean, it's bullshit.
yeah, so that was very unrealistic. But they bring him to what I like to call discount total recall.
Yeah, what is it? The hospital basement?
Didn't it feel to you guys like it was discount total recall?
Yes.
Like the whole fight scene, like when they strap him into this chair and they basically are pulling a total recall on him. Like they're going to wipe his brain and turn him into an obedient person, just like, Cohaagen wanted to do to Quaid and, what's her face? Melina. in Total Recall. So they're basically ripping that off.
Right,
okay?
right. I mean, that's pretty, you know.
No, and they rip it off to the point where the way that Steve gets out of the chair, he cuts loose the one.
Oh, yeah, he gets a scalpel somehow. Like,
he gets a scalpel
good job,
somehow.
you. Like, I want that guy running a crisis.
On top of that, he rips off the armrest and stabs the orderly the same way that Arnold did in Total Recall, just not nearly as entertaining as that was. Because, I mean, really, you got to give it to Arnie. He knows how to stab an orderly with an armrest.
He knows how to stab and beat and shoot. Like, those are 3 of his skills.
Yeah.
Speaking, not so much. But murder, he's very good at.
He speaks, but he speaks in grunts.
Lane, do you want to join us on some grunts?
I'm okay. You guys are just crushing it so hard.
Yeah. See?
Oh my god, that was the nerdiest moment in a long time.
So at this point,
something to masturbate
Steve
to.
finds Rachel and she hasn't been quite, I guess, cooked.
I guess, yeah. Well,
they don't explain
it
that.
It was very upsetting, like because it's like he
They've been
stops the
bracing
machine right before it gets into Steve's eye, but like the needle is so close to his eye that I feel like he would have like leaned forward like a millimeter and bumped into that shit. It was very upsetting. I don't know. Eye stuff freaks me out.
Yeah.
Like I can put my contacts in, no problem, but I don't like the idea of a needle in my eye. But he gets Rachel and she's still kind of out of it, and they have one final confrontation with Chug where Steve like literally like maims his face with a lead pipe. It's kind of great. And then he like goes to get her, but then Chug goes after Rachel, and then she ends him. And that was the only feminist thing about the movie, was that she could take care of her damn self in a moment. So
made for 16-year-old boys, though.
I hate you both.
But it's true.
But I mean, you can still have good storytelling and appeal to any audience if you're not a shitbag.
1998.
Hey,
I don't care.
I mean, maybe that was a choice by Katie Holmes, because as we all know, eventually she got out of the cage that Tom Cruise was keeping her in.
Please don't go after Tom Cruise in the show again.
They're not going to think I'm gay. You stay in your cage.
Stop it.
Anyway,
so
they try to go. They run into Mr. I need to go in the sun. And he's got the car.
UV.
And they try, yeah, and they're like, okay, like the early bird ferry's in like 20 minutes.
Yes.
Let's go.
So Steve's going to end Caldecott.
Well, the entire town is waiting for them on the road,
Yep.
like to stop them from passing through. And then Dorian comes to save the day. Caldecott shoots at his face when he's driving. He shoots at him.
He's gone full Snidely Whiplash at this point. He
He's
doesn't give a
insane.
shit. He's like, I'm science is God.
He's insane.
And he starts shooting people.
Yeah, and so he shoots Dorian, but Dorian has like a bunch of those eradicators in the back of his
Yep.
truck and starts like
He sets them all
shutting
off.
down some teenagers. It's pretty great.
Well, he turns it on so that the whole gaggle of mindless zombies start start running towards him and attacking it because they want to get rid of that noise. And he kind of lures them off a cliff.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because he
Murdering
sees Steve
kids.
Murdering
and
children.
robots. And
But they're still humans.
But my favorite part of the story, though, is when Dorian and Steve are talking, and like Dorian's been shot. Like you see that Caldecott actually did get him, even though it's not apparent at first. He's like, I'm done for anyway. And Steve's like, but they're still people. And he's like, no, we can't let them go out into the world. There's no saving them. Like, he's just so dismissive of it. He's like, because Steve's like, I mean, but they're still in there somewhere, right? No, they're done.
They need to wrap this up, guys.
It's amazing. It's so funny. It's just funny the way that they say it.
No, it's not.
So anyway,
They all go off a cliff.
he drives them off a cliff, and then Steve has a final confrontation with Caldecott.
Yeah.
And Caldecott ends up over the cliff as well.
One, again, awesome one-liner. Be the bar. Boom.
Oh, yeah. He like throws his little phrases back at him. And right before he gets knocked out, Gavin says to Steve, ice, baby. I didn't
Did
get
he
that
seriously
at all.
say that?
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. Some of the
I must
phrases...
have
I mean,
blown
like I
through that
said,
one.
just nobody spoke these dialogue words out loud
You know
before
who
this
was
movie was
real
made.
big
It was
in 1998?
ridiculous.
Vanilla Ice.
I mean, right?
I think he was still flipping burgers at Carl's Jr. at that point.
Back in grocery
That was
Brian, how
long
dare
before
you?
his Renaissance when he had that like HGTV show.
Renaissance.
I made that up.
How dare you?
Trademark.
Yeah.
Patent
So
pending.
yeah,
But yeah, so then he joins them on the ferry then because he was like, go get on the ferry. And he said like, don't leave without me, but they did. It was weird. But then a stunt guy drives the motorcycle and then all of a sudden...
Wait a minute, you mean that wasn't Cyclops?
And then Cyclops appears on the ferry and everything.
Which The ferry is going to Alkaline Lake.
And this is so funny because I actually
All connected.
I had just watched this random movie or this random speech clip of Reese Witherspoon, who normally I'm not a huge fan. She seems very rude. But she
you're
was
not
saying,
a fan of Reese Witherspoon and her massive chin?
I mean, let's not take pot shots at her appearance. I don't like her because when she and her husband were arrested that one time, she was like, "Do you know who I am? Do you know how much trouble you're going to be in the morning?" Like, I don't like people like that. So if people are shitbags, let's focus on that.
fair
Because
enough,
I think
fair
she's a
enough.
very pretty woman.
Now I need to Google her to see her massive chin. I didn't
You've never seen that?
Guys, you're killing me.
Sorry.
So her speech had said that there were so many movie scripts where the woman would turn to the guy and say, "What do we do now?" And like, she didn't know any women who did that. Like, there's never going to be a woman who turns to the guy in a crisis situation and say, "What do we do now?" And I kind of agree with her because, I mean, for me, I'm always thinking 18 steps ahead. I can't help it. It's how I'm wired.
That's true.
But at the end of this fucking movie, Katie Holmes turns to James Marsden and says, "What are we going to do now?"
We go home.
And she's like, "Where?"
And roll credits.
Where?
Wherever we want, babe. I can't remember the exact one.
And they have like the kiss at the end, and like it's so stupid because like for me I'd be like, so how do I find my new identity? Who do I talk to get new papers?
Okay, at this point, that is when puberty hit Scott Summers, and he suddenly gained his X-Men powers. So that they basically all moved in to the X-Men mansion.
That would be awesome. Is that still
And
an
that's what
option?
happened.
Can my powers like still appear and I can move to the mansion?
Her mutant powers wood and acting.
Oh, her mutant power is looking half asleep in every scene. God bless her.
I gotta be honest with you. I hate this movie.
Dude, I just
Really, Brian?
I really,
like I said,
hate this
I didn't
movie.
realize how horrible it was as far as the
I hate
misogyny
this.
and like toxic.
And I'm going to make
elements.
this quick because Lane, you gave us a very long and exhaustive summary.
We had to talk about everything. Fuck you.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I really hate this movie. There's a couple reasons why. One, terrible acting, terrible writing, completely unrealistic. And you forgot one point. The end of this movie has Nick Stahl's character, Gavin, show up as a student teacher who's now got that X-Men, not X-Men, but he's got the Terminator red eye that pops up on his eye. So that was the giant middle finger fuck you.
Well, they probably thought
to
they were
me.
making sequels.
Well, no, there was no sequel to this.
But they were thinking, yeah, we're going to make 10 of them, you know?
But, if you look at the cover of this movie, the cover of this movie alone tells you how shitty it is. So the cover is basically super 90s MTV graphic design where you've got blown out faces. No one has a nose. They don't have noses. Okay? You even have stock imagery of Nick Stahl clearly not in the same costume as his character is in the film. Okay? That's basically the
Photo shoots cost money, kids.
Yeah, photo shoots cost money. It's just terrible, terrible film. And it's kind of led to making these other types of teenager horror
Really disposable
movies.
entertainment.
And Final Destination,
Final
all the
Destination.
I Know What You Did Last Summer, they all have the same cover. Like the cover gives it away. Yeah, it's the females looking pouty and the guys looking like they're learning math and they don't understand what's going on.
Yes.
And yeah, that's even
movies like
H2O,
Apt Pupil,
yeah.
I would say would be in the same kind of realm. Apt Pupil.
Are we really putting Apt Pupil in the same
little
realm
bit,
as
yeah.
I don't feel like
disturbing
it was for
behavior?
the same audience. That's the only reason.
A little bit.
I like Apt Pupil a little bit.
So
I like the short story, too.
John, what do you think about this movie?
This
You've been kind of quiet.
Not his favorite. You can tell when he's quiet.
Well, no, I kind of gave the floor to Lane here to kind of do this. Is just that kind of disposable movie. In every era has them, and an era that sounds large, but it's like even 5-year segments. And this was that post-Scream thing, which is really funny because Scream was making fun of these kind of movies, and then they came back, which is the real irony. And then we had Valentine and Urban Legend and I Know What You Did Last Summer 1 and 2 and all these horrible, horrible goddamn movies. Final Destination. So it was just an era of just disposable crap. They knew they had a moment, and we're going to run it into the ground until the next big thing comes up, and there was for 5 minutes it was zombies, and then they moved on to something else, and it's just it is what it is, and this is what Hollywood is. I hate to sound so cynical all the time, but it was a cash grab of grabbing those 90s Gen X kids and young millennials and getting them in the theater because they want to see boobs and hear swears and violence.
Even the trailer for this movie is just full of 90s Gen X bullshit. Like it's got all the 90s Gen X songs that are still on local, alternative music radio.
Well, you ask like a question a lot, or I don't mean on this show, but just in general, does this movie hold up? And the ones that are...
I don't ask that question. The people in the Epicast does hold up to.
Right. I mean, I know there's obviously a specific show. I just mean fans of movies in general. And the ones that are the worst perpetrators of that are obviously the ones that were those quick cash grab movies. Put the really popular song at the time in there. Put the fashion trends in there. Like She's All That, and movies like that. Mm-hmm. Like, let's get Cisco doing the prom or whoever it was, and just so...
We're really old. We don't even know.
Disclaimer, Cisco was not in She's All That.
I don't believe so.
Who did
Usher was in She's All That.
Who did
Usher
who
was
did
in that?
For like 5 seconds.
Who did the prom song? Like, it was a famous band, wasn't it?
Well, there was a Fatboy Slim song that they all magically knew the dance to.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
It was the Rockefeller Skank.
Yeah.
See, I know all this shit, Brian.
Okay.
Who knows? I know.
Yeah, there was no desire for these things to hold up. They were just, let's get as much money as we can in the moment and then forget about it.
The only one that I think still does hold up, and it's a guilty pleasure of mine, I'm probably going to watch it sometime soon, Idle Hands.
Dude.
That movie's so stupid.
It's hilarious.
That movie hurts me. It's so stupid.
I don't care. It's so good.
Why do I remember it being kind of rapey?
There are some rapey.
Do I remember it being rapey?
Yeah, it's the hand. The
Yeah,
creepy
because he
hand
can't
does.
control his hand from grabbing some Alba ass.
That movie.
That's where Pump That Coochie comes from.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah,
a
it
real
is.
song.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
Well, yeah, but that makes me hurt.
So, yeah, this is a terrible movie. Don't see it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't hold up at all. Like, I know that's not our phrase for this show, but
as I said in the beginning of the episode, it's one of these movies that you remember seeing it, but then you quickly forgot it, and then you revisit it, and like, oh, yeah, that movie did exist, didn't it?
The only reason to see it is if you're looking at it as almost a case study of a time of movies.
Yes.
Like in the same way that when I was younger, saw every slasher movie that came out after Halloween. There's April Fool's Day and
New Year's
Happy
Evil.
New Year's Evil. Yeah, holiday theme ones are just Cheerleader High and just Slaughter High. That's Slaughter High. And it's just they were just pumping them out one after another, and it's fascinating to watch. Like, they all suck, but it's fascinating to watch. Like, just an era and time. And this is a time capsule of these kind of movies. Like I said, Final Destination and all these horrible movies. They have Denise Richards in them.
They have Denise Richards.
Yeah, or Devon Sawa. You're in trouble.
Except for Wild Things.
yeah.
Brian and I just went real quiet real quick.
Yeah, you guys went somewhere else really
we did.
special.
So, Len, where can they find you at on the Twitters?
Oh, on Twitter, you can find me at LA_Croft. If you would like to talk about James Marsden, that's fine. I have to stick it to you, John, because you're always like such a turd to me.
Okay, John, where can they find you?
You can find me at James Marston's Penis. On Twitter. No,
Awkward.
the Unreal J Wolves.
Okay, and you can find me at Brian Content, also on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or you want to talk to us about your traumatic memories watching this movie, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. And make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Send us a rate, send us a review. We love getting those. And be sure to catch our new episode available every Sunday.
Tell me you have a razor plan.
You stole my bit. You stole my bit.
That's so Razor.
Epicast.